Hello, Top Fan Rivalry followers and Heads Up Sports Cards followers and Unraveling the Red Sox follower. Everybody, hello, everybody. Hello to the world. Mike and I are back in action. It's been 2 weeks. We got so much to talk about. It's Tuesday morning. Let's do it. Mike, are you ready to unravel the Red Sox for the last time in the regular season?
I think that we're ready to pull the final string, Bill, and finish unraveling these Red Sox for 2024.
Oh, so Mike, you said, and you were very clear at the beginning of the season. You said that the Red Sox were going to be a 500 team. Tell me, how did they finish?
I believe the Red Sox finished the 2024 regular season with an 81-81 record,
Ladies and
which is
gentlemen, that's Michael
exactly
Damas right there.
500.
That's Michael Damas right there. Not to be confused with Notre Dame, but Notre Dame and Michael Damas have all the same characteristics. They called it perfectly,
That's right.
perfectly.
That's right. Before they were a 500 team for the better part of the beginning of the season, and then they went on their tear, and we said, "Oh man, like what's going to happen with these team? Are they contenders or are they pretenders? Like what's going to happen with this team?" And they took us on quite a ride in 2024, and they just didn't quite have a gas tank big enough to make it this year. So there were a lot of great moments. Uh, there's a lot of positive stuff that came out of this season to build on for next year. Um, there's stability in management on field and upper, which is great. We don't go into the off season this year with question marks about who's going to be leading the team, who's going to be coaching and managing the team. Uh, so that's great, and we saw the emergence of so much great young talent this season that I'm really looking forward to the off season and the 2025 season for the Red Sox.
So, as you know, Mike, outside of Top Fan, I play with a lot of numbers, you know, a lot of the day. And so going by the numbers, I'm looking at this and going, wait a second, you guys are 78 and 84 last season. You're 81 and 81. So obviously a much better season from 2023 to 2024. Honestly, what I saw was some of your young kids coming up and maybe a couple of veterans staying healthy or getting healthy, like a Trevor Story, a few others. You guys could put together a 90-win season next season and at a very bare minimum be in the wild card, but very potentially win your division with 90 wins. I mean,
Yeah, I mean it could
yes, no?
definitely happen. They're already ramping up to, you know, we're hearing our friends over on at Baseball Isn't Boring are excited that this off season might be one of the best off seasons in Red Sox history as far as like what they have now, what they have to play with, and what the team might look like come March 2025. So
So is there any so if you're sitting in the GM's chair, right? You're sitting in the GM's chair right now. I walk into your office and I'm looking on your whiteboard in your office. What does it say? What is it like? What are you chasing after? Are you going to chase after the big contract like the Juan Soto or the Blake Snell who's opting out? Or are you looking to build from I don't even know how to say it in Bostonian, Worcestershire? Like, are you looking to I tried. Are you looking to build from the
Wista,
farms? Yeah, so, whatever. I mean, there's a sauce in a city. They're all named the same thing. I don't know. No, but like, what are you doing? Like, what is your whiteboard? I walk into your office. You're the GM. What does your whiteboard say?
man, the big club needs pitching depth, which is always probably on every GM's whiteboard. Pitching depth, there's never enough pitching, but they really need like a top of the rotation pitcher.
Mhm.
And right now, Bayo isn't there yet. He was supposed to be their big pitcher, their number one pitcher,
Yeah.
or evolve into that this season, and he just didn't. He'll be a great number two pitcher as he continues to mature and grow into that role. But there needs to be like that person that like Beckett, Pedro, like guys like that, John Lester, that you knew every 5 days they were going on the field and 4 out of 5 games they were winning.
Mhm.
So you need that. I don't know who that is right now. I don't know if Snell is that guy or not. Like he seems like a West Coast guy. Uh, he was okay in Tampa,
Yeah,
but
thank
there's
you.
no
He was
pressure.
great in Tampa, in my opinion.
There's no pressure
2020,
to play.
2020, he was
No,
great.
yeah, there's no pressure to play in Tampa though. You're playing in front of like 12,000 people every night. You're not playing.
I think you added 3 nights together to get that number, but yeah, all right,
Yeah,
I get what
exactly, exactly. It's not the Coliseum or anything, but
I'm sorry,
uh,
Tampa fans. We were just joking. Just chill. Don't at me. I was just kidding.
don't at me. And the other thing that the Red Sox need to focus on is finding some right-handed power because they are completely left-handed. Uh, and it's great. Their left-handed players were fantastic, but there needs to be more than Trevor Story. Uh,
Truth.
you know, bringing some stability from the right side. So, Devers, Duran, Casas, Abreu, like these guys are all left-handed bats. Yoshida, and it was great, but you know, their numbers against left-handed pitchers, that was the downfall, especially when they started sliding a little bit after Devers kind of started to get hurt. All the opposing team needed to do was throw out their left-handed pitchers, and it didn't matter if it was Zebby Matthews or Verlander out there. They were just getting smoked. So
So so let me tell you how my mind works for a second because I agree with you on that left-handed side because people are downplaying Duran and he is going to be amazing. And you put him with Rafi Devers, you put him with Trevor Story. But here's three names. If I were the GM that I would chase after and try to go out and get one of them. Okay. To match Bello, I would either go after, and I'd go after all three of them and see which one I could get. Right. Walker Bueller, Blake Snell, Corbin Burns. Any of those three players, those pitchers, Walker needs a reset. He needs to get out of LA. He's not going to find unless he's lights out in the postseason this year. We have too many starting pitchers in the Dodgers organization next season.
yeah, yeah.
Blake Snell had an awful. I was teasing. We'll keep them nameless, but Sam, I was teasing somebody again, nameless, but Sam, about how they spent $7 million per win this year for Blake Snell. Blake Snell does need to kind of readjust that mental thinking, and he probably needs to get out of San Francisco. But I won't
Yeah,
mention
they
who. But
probably
Sam
they probably weren't
thinks
they probably weren't happy with him this season.
no. Sam thinks they're going to sign him to a long-term deal, but he also thought they were going to sign Aaron Judge and
He
Juan
thinks they're
Soto and
going to
everybody
sign.
else. Um, but Corbin Burns is on a 1 year deal, a prove me deal, and he did a very good job at proving it to me. Now, Baltimore
Yeah,
would
I
be
mean,
stupid to let him go.
right. I I I agree with that, and I think that I'm not excited about Bueller or about
No.
Snell, but Bueller makes a lot of sense if he can stay healthy.
Mhm.
He's been bit by the injury bug the last couple seasons, if I remember
Tommy
correctly.
Johns. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I really like Burns because I know that he can do it in the big, in the big games in the spotlight. So uh, I think that they're pretty good. Our hickety rickety closer is no longer. cleared out his locker and walked off into the night. But thankfully, we have the awesome Aussie, who most people probably don't even remember is on the team, and he was a pretty stout closer for many years through his travels in Oakland and Chicago and Minnesota. So Liam Hendricks can come right in and fill that role. So like no big loss on Kenley really, in my opinion. Uh, Thank you for being the closer for like our downest down years of our down cycle.
I, I I love it. I love it. I love it. The other thing, Mike, I love about you. So here's what's interesting is you play in arguably, and you can when I say arguably, because you can call the National League West right now the toughest division in baseball.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
you could also call American League East the toughest division in baseball. You got the Dodgers, the Padres, the Diamondbacks, and if the Giants can figure out what to do, the Giants. So you have four very viable teams there. Whereas you guys have yourselves, the Yankees, the Orioles, and Toronto or Tampa Bay, whoever can figure it out. But here's what I think is interesting is I think that you turn this thing around really easily. Baltimore is young, they're going to stay talented. The Yankees are not, they are anything but young. They still have Anthony Rizzo, they still have Aaron Judge. How are they going to afford to pay Juan Soto? So he'll probably be gone. You've got Giancarlo Stanton, who I think he played with Lou Gehrig, but I'm not sure. I'll have to triple check that stat.
I
But
mean,
they're
he
not
came
getting
up at
any.
the same time as Buster Posey. Like, isn't he still kicking around?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, but
Yeah,
the
I don't know that I can think of any other 2010 rookies that are still in the league, honestly.
no,
14 years.
not
I
not
mean,
not very
Scherzer
many.
and Kershaw, not position players though.
No, no. Kershaw,
I got
Scherzer,
I got
Verlander. I mean, all those
yeah,
guys are still there, but Kate
right. They
Upton,
don't
my
count.
bad. But but yeah, no, you guys can turn this thing around. I love, first of all, your historic franchise, but I love where your guys are at. And even though you're not going to get jewelry this year,
Yeah, it was
in
a
my
huge
opinion,
step
it's a
forward.
much better season than what you've seen in the past. And
Yeah,
it's turning the corner and it feels good.
I mean, there was like the product on the field this year for the most part uh was great. They were, for we'll say 60% of the season they were the fun Sox. And I came on this show, I said that they were the most exciting team in baseball. And for a long stretch they really were. So they have like a great uh like start right now, and like I just said about Kenley, like I kid, the darkest of the the down cycle, but it really was since like the COVID season, since 2020, like the Red Sox have just like, it's just been like so much negative energy around the team every season. And this year there wasn't that. It was back to positive energy around the team. And Alex Cora I think has a lot to do with it because like he was enjoying himself again, managing this team, and that's reflective. I think that Craig Breslow really wants to make the team successful, and really push the envelope. And I think that Heim Bloom was just kind of like he had a method, and it didn't work in Boston. It's the method that works in Tampa and that works in Oakland and Kansas City and the mid to minor market teams, with ownership that doesn't really want to spend money, which is okay for some franchises, but that's just not okay for Boston because the expectation that fans have, and not just, well, I mean, writers and media are fans of the team, but they're a little bit a step above, uh the what a normal everyday fan is, and when they get down on the team, they start spewing the venom, and that turns a lot of your everyday fans
Yeah.
on the team. So we saw a lot of that over the last 3 or 4 seasons, and there wasn't that this year. There were people that were playing the part of the contrarian a lot, uh, but again, when some of the Boston media guys, and these are full baseball professional like media guys, they were happy, excited,
Mm.
talking positively, and there was hope. There was hope almost until like mid last week that something could still happen because of the way that they played for a majority of the season. So going into next year, there's it's going to be a fun off season to see what they do. If they, if it wasn't all just smoke and mirrors, which I don't think that it was, and we're going to see what they do to improve this team. Uh, and some of it might be hard, like they're going to probably have to move on from some players. And it's always hard to move on from, you know, players when you've grown attached to them. Uh, and prospects too, like the big four that are getting ready to impact this team: Christian Campbell, Roman Anthony, Kyle Teal, Marcel Mayer. Like they can't all be on the team right now. And some of them are not some of them, they're all great assets for the organization. So, it's going to be sad to move on from some of these guys, but if they make the right moves and get the right players back to help continue to move the franchise forward. Uh, it might be tough at first, but hopefully it works.
It's helped out. Well, what you're talking about too, and you had mentioned this something a second ago, making the right moves, and sometimes the right moves is not making a move. So it's the moves that you make, it's the moves that you don't make. But what in essence what you're talking about is the ultimate argument that you and I have had with many a fan. We've talked about this on the show throughout the season, which is the business of baseball versus the fandom of baseball.
Right.
And the fandom of baseball wants every all-star on your team at every position. The business of baseball says, well, who's signing the paychecks? What makes sense? You've got some huge free agents out there like a Juan Soto. Do you pay Juan Soto 10 million or 40 million a season for 10 seasons and lock him up now at $400 million, or do you pass on him? And you can make an argument either way, but
And I would love to watch Juan Soto play 162 games
in Boston,
in Boston.
yeah, I,
Like, but you know what? For there was a time in 2013 into 2014 where I was gonna love to watch Yoenis Cespedes play 162 games for the Red Sox, and that didn't work out so well. So
no, no.
you know, I'm not saying that Cespedes and Soto are really on the same level, but
I get what you're saying though. No. I totally get what you're saying. And I, you mentioned another good point too, Mike, when you were talking there. Um, Obviously I live close to Angel Stadium. Being a Dodger fan, though I live in Orange County, I have a bunch of Angel fans, and a bunch of Angel fans that are friends that are on Top Fan. And this marks the 12th season that the I'm sorry, the 10th season that the Angels have missed the playoffs. It was back in 2014, the last time they made it. The last time they had a winning record was 2016. They set the franchise record for the most losses ever as a major league, as the Angels slash California, Anaheim, Los Angeles, whatever, of Major League Baseball before they were in the Pacific Coast League of Major League Baseball. So this was their worst season. And the the mindset out here is they almost expect to lose. There's not a lot of giddy up, not a lot of pep in their step. So the fact that you're talking about how Boston is getting that pep in their step back is the polar opposite to what Anaheim's feeling, which is good.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm thankful that it's only been, 4 seasons and not 14 seasons,
Yes,
but not
exactly.
8 seasons. Uh, and it, the reality is that, every year can't be a winning season. Uh, at the end of the day, only one team wins the whole thing. And we went 85 years waiting. And was it 85? Yeah. Jeez, what's wrong with me?
Yeah,
So we know what it is to wait, and we know what it is to win now too. So
yeah.
uh, the 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 extended periods of down, hit a little harder, but we also know that there's always, the old adage, just wait till next year. So
Until next year.
that's right.
Okay, so put your predictions hat on. Tell me, who do you like? I see the hat. I mean, for those of you listening to the audio, he's wearing a 2024 World Champion Los Angeles Dodgers hat. But please,
This
which,
is
by the
actually
way,
a 2017 World Series champion Dodgers hat.
I'm 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 throwing it out into the universe, Mike. Come on, now you just cut. All
Hey,
right, somebody edit that out. No,
if every 7 years you get a championship, Bill, you're good, right?
yeah, there you go. So put your predictions hat on for a second and talk to me about the American League. We know where this is at. We know how it breaks down. Obviously, the Tigers and the Royals made it in. Um, Houston snuck in. Uh, Cleveland had a heck of a season. Baltimore and the Yankees did what they do. So tell me what you like about the American League.
I'll tell you, that Central, they're a bunch of scrappy teams down there. So if I were any of these teams, I would be watching out for all three of those teams in the Central. Uh, the Guardians, honestly, I thought that Cleveland was going to be in the basement in the Central this year,
Breach.
and they took a bunch of young players, built them around Jose Ramirez, who is quietly the best hitter in baseball, pure, pure hitter. Uh, a bunch of young pitching. You know, did what they needed to do to to refine their rotation. Uh, and man, they're a scary team, and they're not going to go away easily this year. I mean, they ended the season with a better record than the Orioles. The second best record in the American League. So there's a
Yeah,
reason for that. And it's that they play hard. They play smart. They're not they don't give up. Uh, so I would watch out for them, and like Detroit's sneaking in, right? Like
yeah,
Detroit was way out.
yeah. Detroit at the All-Star break, Detroit didn't have a shot. Um,
Yeah,
about a month and some change ago, they were out by 10 games.
yeah,
They went, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think they went 17-7 this month of September. So, or October, whatever it is. Yeah. I mean, they're good and they're young. They're
yeah,
young.
yep. So I'm not sure that. I mean, they might just be the hot team going into the playoffs, and that's also the scary team, the
Yep.
hot team, the hot team. So, uh, maybe experience doesn't necessarily err on their side, but sometimes the lack of experience. they don't know what they don't know.
Right.
So
They're
that
they're
can
young
also be
enough and dumb enough to know that they're not supposed to be there.
yeah, right.
Not to know that they're
Don't
not
don't
supposed to be
let
there.
them know that they're not supposed to be there. So
Yeah,
like you said, the Yankees and the Orioles are what they are. Strong teams top to bottom, grinding teams. Uh you know, they're there for a reason. Uh Kansas City, I knew that they were going to be really good.
good.
Uh,
Yeah.
they have the MVP on their team, and
Sam calls Aaron Judge the most popular player,
yeah, most
not the MVP.
MVP. Yeah, the MVP.
Yeah.
So, you know, the American League is going to be a fun little tournament. Uh, and I wouldn't, I hope the ALDS or the CS is the Yankees and the Guardians because that would just be like a really fun series.
Yeah.
That's my prediction. That's my want prediction.
Yeah, I can see that happening. Um,
It's like an old school. It's like a '90s matchup. You know, like that was a big that they were a big rivalry in the '90s. So
so do you see Philadelphia and LA at a collision course for each other's for another NLCS, or do you think that there's a team that's gonna outdo things?
I mean, yes, because they're like the two best teams.
I don't know. I mean,
You know,
I
they're the. I really liked the Brewers. I really liked what the Brewers did this year, but the Brewers have done this before, where they've been a great regular season team and then have melted down in the playoffs.
yeah,
So like I I'm reserving judgment on the Brewers and the double header really is uh gonna prove which is gonna be the hot team coming out of the NL going into the playoffs.
100%, 100%. And I'm not gonna lie to you. I I'm gonna take a lot of heat in Dodger Nation for this, but we are so banged up. The Dodgers are so banged up right now that if they can get out of the divisional round, that'll be awesome. But they're on a collision course in that divisional round for the Padres again, and a best of five series with the Padres, and the Dodgers will take everything out of the Dodgers that it
Yep.
possibly could
Yep.
to the where even if they get out of that round, if ever they meet in the NLCS, they'll be. You got Freddie Freeman who twisted an ankle now. Obviously, he's fine. He'll be able to play. He had 9 days of rest, right? Dodgers don't play till Saturday, but you don't necessarily know who your pitching staff is. So predictions wise, Mike, I love where you're going with this. I'm going to tell you that I don't think it's the boys this year, but I could be wrong. You never know. It's all about who gets hot, who's not, right? And
Right. Who's
I
not?
mean,
That's big too. Who's not?
we uh Kansas City or Detroit could win the wild card round against any one of those teams that they play with, and
Yeah.
then just get lucky in game one and game two in the divisional series and be up 2 games to nothing in a best of five and
Yeah.
sneak through. And next thing you know, they're in the championship round and shaking your head going, how'd this happen?
Right. You know, I don't I don't love Kansas City's rotation, but
Yeah, I don't either. I don't either.
we'll see. I love their lineup. I love their offense, but I mean, like Seth Lugo just doesn't do it for me as
Yeah.
a number one guy.
this is why when I was saying Walker Bueller, this is why I think Walker Bueller would be good in Boston. He'd be good in Baltimore. He'd be good in Kansas City. He'd be good in Detroit because he can play the number two role to Bello, to Skubal, um,
Sure.
to Burns if he stays, or Brandish, right, or to Lugo, and um, you get a. But yeah, I agree, and it's the thing that's weird about this time of year and this type of baseball. The thing that's awesome is every mistake is magnified by 10. Every ground ball that goes through your legs, every missed sign, everything is magnified by 10.
Don't talk to me about ground balls through the legs.
Oh, my bad. It gets by Buckner.
Yeah.
But everything. And again, we saw it. I was watching a game the other night. I was watching the Dodgers Padres game the other night, and I was on X and I was commentating, and I lost my crap because it's something that you and I talk about on the show. Fernando Tatis, Shohei Ohtani. There's a runner on first and second. Shohei Ohtani hits a ground ball to right field. There is no conceivable way Fernando Tatis is going to get the runner from second because it wasn't hit hard. It was kind of a C9 ground ball between the first baseman and second baseman. And so Shohei is, running obviously to first. Fernando decides he's going to try to get, instead of hit the cutoff man, he's going to try to get the guy at third. He had no shot for him at third, but he airmailed it and it got by Manny Machado. So Shohei saw this and he ended up on second. So instead of having first and third with one out and you've got a double play, now you've got second and third and one out because of a mental mistake. And the very next batter hit a ground ball for a base hit, but it scored two instead of one. Instead of having first and second and one out and one run in, you now have uh, two runs in and a runner on first. It's crap like that in the postseason that is going to hurt any club.
Yep. Totally. I mean, it's that one little thing,
Mhm,
like you said, Shohei notices it and he's playing heads up and he gets on second. Now the defensive alignment changes. So that
mhm.
ground ball that ended up being that was a hit to score two, like that they might have been somewhere else defend, they might have been lined up to make that play had it been first and third to turn two. You know, again,
One
the
thousand
defensive
percent.
alignment shifts. So like those are the little things. Those little things that like when people talk that I love to talk to people about with baseball being like so much smarter than just throwing the ball and hitting the ball. Uh, when people say that baseball is boring and stuff like that, it's people don't understand those small intricacies that really make the game exciting.
And it and yes, 100%. And what they also don't get is they also don't get that baseball is very little of a physical sport. It's not like football. It's not like basketball where you're exerting yourself the entire game. Basketball, you're
Right.
running up and down the court.
Sure.
Hockey, you're skating and you're trying to puck handle. Um, Football, you're hitting each other, right? And even on the plays where you're just blocking, you're still making contact, right? Or on the plays where you might be the wide receiver and you're going out for a pass and you don't get it, you're still running, right?
Right.
And so it's a lot more physical. Baseball is a lot more of a mental game than it is a physical
Yeah,
game. And
definitely.
frankly, it's the team that's the hottest in October and the team that's the hottest and makes the least amount of mental mistakes,
Mistake. Yep.
right? Because that play with Fernando Tatis, where now that base hit that got in the initial run, I think the game was I think the game was 2-1 at that point. That run scored and made it 2-2, and then that throw in there, and then the next batter made it 4-2. Where 4-2 is a lot different than 3-2 in the postseason, right? So,
Sure.
all right, Mike, let's wrap this up. Let's tell everybody before I let you wrap up and unravel the Red Sox in 30 seconds here. Let's tell everybody what we got on deck. So Mike and I are gonna do some stuff on X slash Twitter, where we might do some commentating on some Thursdays. Just kind of hodgepodge open mic stuff. Feel free to check us out. We'll let you know ahead of time for sure. It'll be just a great time. Just open mic. Um, in addition to that, we will be doing these unraveling the Red Sox, but we'll have guests on throughout the postseason. Be every other week. It might not be every week, but it might be every other week. So we'll have plenty of content for you in the off season. You don't need to worry. Just because the Red Sox are not going to play in the postseason doesn't mean that we don't know some people's, right?
That's right.
So
That's right.
so Mike, tell me, take 30 to 60 seconds and unravel the Red Sox and their 2024 season, their campaign. Tell us everything that you saw, everything that you need to know. You're on the clock. 60 seconds. Wrap it up for us.
The biggest thing that I can say is that progress was made this season. We went from being a down in the dumps team to a team that has a little shine on it. You know, we might not have the full rub yet, but we're making the comeback, and the shine is coming. The shine is coming strong for this team. So they're gonna get ready to reload. They're gonna burn some cash, as Coach Gerard likes to say. There might not be any full throttles this off season, but you know what? There's a lot of excitement for the Red Sox. You know, even though they didn't make the playoffs, they didn't hit their ultimate goal for the year. But uh, you know, we're gonna see this team come back and be strong again next year. And really figure out what needs to happen for them to not fizzle out in the last few weeks of the season. Uh, I know that injuries had a big part to do with it. You know, when we had Mike from the Worcester Red Sox on a couple weeks ago with us on our last show, you know, we taught at that point Devers was still trying to play through two hurt shoulders. You know, they finally after that said, you know what, we need to shut him down and get him some rest when they realized that they probably weren't going to push for October. Hopefully everything is good with Raffy, and he come back and be the verbal leader, which he started to this year. Progress again, you know, in that department uh, of this team, this very young and talented team. You know, we have a great crop of prospects that a couple of them are going to impact the team next season. Uh, So it's going to be a fun off season. It might be the best off season in Red Sox history, but you didn't hear that from me. Uh, but there's some moves that can be made, you know, to really improve the team, and I think that they're going to try hard to go out there and get that right-handed bat, to get that top of the rotation pitcher. Those are their two big, you know, key acquisitions that they need to make, and I think Breslin knows that this year. Uh, you know, as he got kind of a late start this season, and for what they were supposed to be to what they were, I'm excited. So progress.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And Mike, I got to tell you, all season long, you've made me excited to watch Red Sox. And this season has been so much fun because I get to talk to you. I get to enjoy what you're saying about the Red Sox and just really breaking it down and unraveling the Red Sox. So I cannot wait for the off season. I cannot wait for you and I to be able to hit up some Twitter slash X and just kind of have those conversations. So I'm looking forward to it, my friend. Let's have a great off season.
That's right. Unraveling the off season coming soon.
Coming soon, exactly. I love it. Unraveling the Red Sox offseason. Mike, en enjoy your Tuesday. Top fan rivalry followers and contributors. Enjoy your Tuesday. Have a fantastic week. Obviously, all I was gonna say all star. Obviously, off season is in full effect for 18 teams, for 12 teams. Well, let's get it on. Let's see who gets the jewelry. So, Mike, we will talk very, very soon, my friend. It's good to have
Can't
you.
wait, Bill. All right,
All
we'll
right.
see you soon.